Hey there. We're going to blow out the G5. It's full of just dust and clutter from the room, and it's time to get it cleaned out because that'll help it to run cooler and faster. So on these, and I believe the Intels are pretty much the same thing, you've got a tab to lift, and then this whole panel is going to come off. So that's the first outside panel. You also have, in a G5, you've got an air deflector, and this I've actually already cleaned off too. And this just helps the air pass through where it's supposed to. You can see how dirty this thing is. Come in and get down here. You can see it's got just ridiculous dust bunnies. And this is just lint stuff off my carpet and, you know, out of the office that's got sucked through the fans, and it's getting blown through the whole computer. On this particular model, you've got an additional fan unit, and you can see how dirty and nasty it is too. So we're going to get this all cleaned up. And if you come around here, you can see this one is actually liquid cooled. And this is its radiator, just like on your car, and you can see it's just full of crap. I should have done this quite a while ago. So what we're going to do is we're going to wipe out the dust that we can. And then I'm actually going to use my air compressor. Normally you don't want to use an air compressor because they can have moisture in their lines. I just did service on mine, so I know it's totally clean. I know all my air lines are clean. So I'm going to go ahead and use my air compressor to blow it out. But normally you want to use canned air to do this. I've got a brand new paintbrush, and all I'm going to do is start sweeping out what I can. I'm being very gentle, especially around the circuit boards. And you can see some of that dust is starting to come out. And what I'm really trying to do here is get this big clumps of stuff, yeah, like that. And that'll keep it from getting blasted through the whole radiator onto the actual chips. Because we're trying to get the dust out. These things are pretty impressive. They really did a lot of work with cooling on these. And they're an amazing fast computer because of it. It's got, besides these two big ones that I took out already, it's also got a fan here. It's got another one up here for the hard drives. And then it's got two more exhaust fans in the back. And all of these kind of need cleaned and dusted out. The other thing that's really great about one of these machines is this is all an open grate, so it allows airflow through the entire machine and really can keep it cool. And even in spite of this, they still start to run hot, especially when they're this full of dust. So I'm going to just kind of do a preliminary dusting here to kind of try to knock out some of this big stuff. And you can see it's pretty disgusting. Just anything I can reach in here, I want to drag out as much dirt as I can. These are your hard drives back here. This is my super drive. This being a late model G5, it only has the super drive. It doesn't have two of them. You can also see back here these are all my RAM chips, and they definitely need to be cleaned too because they can start to run hot and decrease performance also. And here I've got a second bank of them up here. So this machine is pretty well outfitted. I think it has 13 gigs of RAM. And that will help. Another thing I'm going to do on this front grate is I'm going to brush it, and I can see a lot of the dust and crud coming off it. It's totally nasty. And I'm going to dust off this front thing too, because this is actually where I notice it. Normally I've got a little desk fan sitting right here to help blow air through the processor, and it collects dust not only on itself, but it'll start sticking to the front of this, and that's kind of a good way for me to tell I need to clean up again. Your microphone is sitting right here. I don't know if you can kind of see that if you come around here. That's the mic, that little dark spot that's next to the fan in there. So that's looking like I got most of the real big stuff. So I'm going to hit the back here just a little bit. here are my, this is my graphics card. I don't have any other cards put in, otherwise they'd all be sitting right there. But I'm just gonna try to clean this up as best I can. And I'm sure the compressor is gonna kick on here in just a second, so it was nice talking to you. You're not gonna wanna, as I'm blowing on these, they're starting to spin. You don't want them to start spinning real fast because the air compressor can spin them faster than the bearings in these are actually rated for, and you can explode the bearings if you get them going too fast. So I'm just gonna hold them with my fingers. I'll kind of start knocking stuff off this way, you know, so I can get it out of the radiator. But as I go back through, I'm going to try to blast everything straight through it. So, and you can see all of that. That's pretty gross. Watch your lens there. Hey, hey. Our next one will be how to clean an HD cam. You'll notice too, I'm going in short bursts. I don't want to just blast on anything in case, you know, it would blow anything loose or, you know, just kind of get it vibrating, and, you know, you could crack a board or something if you put too much air pressure on it, which is another good reason to use canned air and not your air compressor. You can see there's not dust coming out of it anymore, so it's pretty clean, and we can go ahead and put it back together now. So I'm going to put my fans back in. The only thing you have to remember is to line up the notch, and then I'm just going to check and make sure there's no junk in here, but I just blew it out, so it ought to be clean. So put those guys back in, and then don't forget your air deflector because it's actually quite important. And then you can put this back in very gently and be sure it's lined up and that it kind of clicks closed. And then you can latch it down and you're ready to go back to work. Let's go plug it in.
Woohoo!